Welcome to Vivid Talk Live. I am your host, Gwen Witherspoon. My lovely little thing isn't working. We're going to start the night off with some technical issues. Listen, welcome to Vivid Talk Live. I'm your host, Gwen Witherspoon. I am the Principal and Chief Visionary Officer of Adam Red, an Atlanta branding agency. I am a brand strategist and a Better Life Coach. And I am here for your personal and professional development. Vivid Talk Live is all about teaching you a new way, a fresh way of thinking and doing for all you were designed to build. I've said that so many times, I actually remembered it. But so tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to continue talking about the fact that you are born to produce. It is also a continuation of my series of how to help you engineer your corporate DNA. And I need to start tonight by asking you yet another question. The last 3 weeks we've been answering the question, what or how are you going to get it done? That was for the last 3 weeks. This week we're going to start with the question, answering the question, what habits do you need to master? And so your habits are the only thing, like really the biggest thing standing between you and your vision. And so we're going to get started with that tonight. Now, I want to make sure you know where to find me. So go to gwenwitherspoon.com where you can watch live, you can watch replays, and you can find all your favorite social networks. Make sure that you introduce yourself in the comments. Say hi to Ron and Katrina. They help me monitor the comments. And so we'll get started right after this. Make sure you follow at Gwen Fuchsius on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, and Gwen Witherspoon Coach on YouTube. And you can find me, my website I mentioned earlier, gwenwitherspoon.com. That's where you'll learn everything you can about me. I want to help you get a fresh vision for every area of life. And you can watch live on the website. You can watch last week's video. It's always featured. Last week's replay is always featured at the bottom there. And if you click here on this little watch more replays button, you're going to get to our replays page where you will see all of the previous episodes. And so tonight, I'm so excited about this next one. So I told you that I'm working on a flip productivity workshop. The flip productivity system is my own productivity system that I've developed just to help you plan your work, produce what you've planned, and spend more time at play. And at play is all about doing and being everything that you were designed to be. And then you'll never literally work another day in your life. Just really, it's about finding your life's work and just living your life at play, in play mode at all times. So we're going to get there by being more productive, period. The more productive you are, if you're like me, the more productive I am, the more accomplished I feel, the more energized I feel, the more hopeful I get, the more excited I am. And, you feel like you're getting somewhere, right? All this work, all this effort, all these dreams, all these ideas, all this service to others. It feels good when you feel like you're actually getting somewhere. You're getting closer to that beautiful vision for your future that you have in your head. Well, you were born to do it. Hey, you were born to do it. So I wanna stay on this topic of the fact that you were born to produce. And like I said, the last 3 weeks, we answered the question, how are you going to get it done? It was about getting an action plan for those 6 areas, right? But this week, I decided we're going to stay on that how to produce, the fact that you're born to produce, because I want to really hammer that in for you. You don't just have this idea and you might be able to get it done. It might happen. You literally were born for this. You were destined for this. This is part of who you were created to be. That was what I had in my intro that I couldn't read for you. But you were born for this. You were engineered for this. You were destined. Literally you are purposed for this, right? You were born to um the Bible says that you were born to basically have dominion, and we've talked about that before. Dominating is not about you dominating some other person, you winning at someone else's expense. Dominating, having dominion, is about dominating your space, dominating your sphere of influence, and mostly it's about dominating yourself. It's about, since we are all human, right? We are all human. We are all subject to frailty and imperfection and inconsistency, all those things. So because we are all there, we have to learn how to dominate ourselves. How are you going to master your own habits? Because they are literally the only thing really in between that's keeping you from that vision that you've imagined for your life. And so, and now, want me to pause for a minute while you say ouch? Because I feel like that when you realize it's not all these external things, that ultimately it's up to you. It is your responsibility. It's what's going on inside of you. It is how you behave every day. It's not what's done to you. It's how you respond to it, right? And it's how you develop the gifts, the talents, the abilities, everything that's been placed and imparted and entrusted to you. So tonight we're going to start. And I learned from the last time. Last time I had like 6 points, right? With some sub points, with a bunch, many points. And so this time we got 5. So this will probably be yet another, at least 2 weeks, maybe a 3-week series. But we started last week. I mentioned the Flip Productivity Workshop. There is a thread going here. I mentioned the Flip Productivity Workshop because the last 3 weeks I've been talking from a worksheet that I use in the Flip Productivity Workshop about producing. And so I have 2 producing worksheets. And so this second worksheet is about producing as well, but it is the focus is about mastering your habits. And if you've been following this series the whole time at all, while I was talking about the vision series, my vision theory series, I talked about the concept of REPOH, REPOH. It's an acronym. And so on the sheet, I asked the question, what do you need to repo? And so the title says, what habits do you need to master, which is really your ultimate goal. But we're going to do that with this acronym. I told you I like to teach you brain hacks. And I think these acronyms are just simple concepts. These are the things that my vision theories, these are things that just help kind of break through. It hacks your brain so that you can trick yourself into believing and understanding that things are simpler than they appear. Because our brain, I was listening to something, it was saying our brain works to protect us from danger, from difficulty, from complexity, all those things. So anytime something is new, that's why we kind of freak out a little bit. That's why we are so hesitant to just jump right into new things, because mentally your brain is trying to protect you. And so if we can hack your brain a little bit, give you an idea or a concept that you can use to help break through that protection mechanism that your brain automatically puts up for you, then we're going to help you break through in some areas that you need to help you just function and be better every single solitary day at everything that you're attempting to do. And no matter what it is, vision for every area of life. I told you that my assignment was to not work for 4 Fridays in a row. I have successfully, and I committed to it, no matter all the excuses I made, for not doing it, and all the plans I made around how I was going to justify why I wasn't going to continue doing it. Now, after that 4 weeks, I successfully broke through and established a new habit, and that habit came because without even really purposely doing it, but because I repoed the situation, right? So let's get into that. First, I want to give you a definition. I love looking up words. So the definition of the word habit. Habit means a habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. And it also means nearly or completely involuntary. It's a settled or regular tendency or practice that is nearly or completely involuntary. And it is an unconscious pattern. I have a habit, like we all do. You have a habit of doing certain things when you wake up. I have a habit of turning over. As soon as my eyes open up, I turn over again. Be like, nope, I don't want to get out. So I have a habit of turning over as many possible times as I can before I get up. You have a habit of holding your toothbrush a certain way. You have a habit of driving a certain way, a certain path to your home, to your job, to your grocery store. You've gotten to the point where you've done it so much that it's involuntary. Have you ever got in your car, and then you got to your destination and thought, how did I get here? Because you were so used to it, you didn't even pay attention. You were unconsciously driving. You were unconsciously going through the steps. How do you explain to somebody else how to do something? Like, if you wanted to describe to someone how to unlock your front door, what would you say? I mean, if you literally had to go step by step by step by step. Well, because you have such a habit of doing it, you don't understand all the steps. How many steps does it take to get to your front door on your porch? How many locks do you have to unfold? How many times do you have to turn? Like, if you really literally had to walk somebody through, if they were blindfolded and you had to walk them through how exactly to do it, you would be amazed at all the steps you would have to try to explain, but you'd have to work at trying to figure that out, trying to create that list, because it has become a habit, an unconscious pattern. How do you turn on the light? Where do you, like all of those things? I have a habit in the evening after we've eaten, cooked, cleaned, done whatever, I turn the light on the stove. We're not in there. Why do I need the light on the stove? But it's a habit. So it's a settled or regular tendency. The older we get, we say the more set in our ways we get. And the reality is we're all set in our ways, all of us. And we have habits we have habits that serve us, and we have habits that really could be destructive. And so when you are talking about learning how to be more productive, you really have to take a look at yourself. I'm so sorry. It's the truth. You have to take a look at yourself and how you function every day. And really, that's the sign of true leadership, where you are just constantly growing, where you are willing to allow the shadows in your life and your heart to be lit up, and you're willing to make changes to correct the situation for your own good, and ultimately so that you can complete the vision that you have been given, so that you can serve the people that you're setting out to serve, so that you can make the difference that you were born to make. That's really what productivity is about. It's not just about mindless activity just for the sake of saying. Remember last week we talked about the difference between being efficient and being effective. We want to be effective. And the way we're going to be effective is we've got to look at ourselves and really learn to master our own habits. And I'm psycho about personality assessments. And the thing about personality assessments is, as unique as we all are, right? We don't like to be pigeonholed, but the truth is there's so many people in the earth, and there are patterns of behavior. There are patterns of personality. There are patterns. So there are patterns of habits. There are categories that we can kind of lump them into. And so what I've done with my Flip Productivity System is I've created or defined like 5 habits that we need to master. And of course, they have some sub-habits, some subcategories, but they are organizing, tracking, acting, waiting, and scheduling. We talked about that before. Organizing, tracking, acting, waiting, and scheduling. And so if you need to we can all kind of constantly fine tune. Like these are those like practices that we need to learn, especially as entrepreneurs, the things that we need to learn how to do skillfully day in and day out without thinking, without breathing, right? Make it like breathing. And the way that we do that is we can use a principle that I learned from Al and Hattie Hollingsworth in California at a workshop a gazillion years ago, and it has changed my life, and I have adapted it and put it into everything that I do, and I teach the concept over and over to other people because it worked. And so I always got to give them their shout out and their props for teaching me that. But it is now, so imagine this. When I learned it, we were at a workshop, and they had everybody in the room line up. And as we walked up, we had to introduce ourselves to them, shake hands, and and they asked, can I be your coach? Are you willing to allow me to be your coach? And then you had to accept that invitation. Yes, I will allow you to be my coach. And then we went through a series of different exercises and all kinds of things. They were all life-changing. And so with this one, they taught it to us like a cheer. I was a cheerleader in high school. So elementary and high school cheerleader. It was, I know that's hard for you to understand how obsessed I probably was with that, but I was. But I was a cheerleader. And one of the things they taught us this like a cheer, okay? Repetition, easy, easy. I won't clap too loud in the mic. Repetition, easy, easy, pleasure, pleasure, often, often, habit, okay? So do it with me. Repetition, easy. I'm just going to trust that you're doing it. Repetition, easy, easy. Pleasure, pleasure. Often, often. Habit. One more time. Repetition, easy, easy. Pleasure, pleasure. Often, often. Habit. The other thing, if you sing something, if you chant it, if you say it, you think it, you read it, you do something, that helps you to remember. But what that really means is, and they had us stand in front of a room, and we had a certain way we had to say it. Okay. And so let's say, I want to, whatever habit you want to change, I want to master the habit of organizing. Okay. Let's use that one. The way you say it is this, we had to get up in front of a room and do this, right? And we had to do it with our hands by our sides, but I'm not gonna do that because I talk with my hands. But when I organize with repetition, organizing will become easy. When organizing becomes easy, organizing will become a pleasure. When organizing becomes a pleasure, I will organize often. When I organize often, organizing will become a habit. Ain't that hot? Right? So you repeat that to yourself, and then what you find is you really, you basically have learned how to change that habit. If you are unorganized and you want to be organized, you can start by using that repetition, easy, easy, pleasure, pleasure, often, often, habit. When I organize with repetition, organizing will become easy. When organizing becomes easy, that's that repetition, easy, easy, right? It will become a pleasure. When it becomes a pleasure, I will organize often. When I organize often, organizing will become a habit. And let me tell you, I could use that for my Fridays off. And on my Fridays off, it took me 3 weeks, but that's when I started organizing in my home, just trying to make some minor improvements just every weekend. And so now it is fun. I just bought a new entertainment center. Ron's been reorganizing it for me and all that. I'm like, honey, what you like this? Can we order this? And so it's just now I'm like, I look forward to taking on the next project, like small project too, because I'm getting a vision for my home. I'm getting a vision for improving my environment. So I'm not just focused on my vision to build my business. I'm focused on, developing other parts of my life, right? Okay. So organizing. So there are 5 habits that you need to master. So we're going to talk tonight. Start with organizing. You have to organize 4 things: your vision, your communication, your process. We talked a little bit about that on the last week, and your thoughts. But this week we're doing it from a different perspective. We're doing it from the perspective of your habits, the things that you do intrinsically, the things that you do. What was it that you've settled into as a regular tendency of practice? The unconscious patterns that you've stepped into. So if you are disorganized, it's because you have fallen into some unconscious patterns. I am a very organized person, organized thinker. I like order in my world. Ron is like super. He's Mr. Clean, right? He's the one that's going through the house with the bleach and the Lysol and spraying everything and all that. And I'm the one, like, I want everything lined up and, perfect. It's kind of a great combination, right? But so that's my personality. But when I don't have a space for something, then I kind of retreat to making piles. So in our office where I do this show, it's a very small space and it's tight, right? And I find I'm surrounded by these piles. So what's happening is because of the limited space, I've fallen into a tendency, an unconscious pattern of creating piles. And I don't like the piles. The piles disturb me. But I keep making the piles. Like, I literally am kind of surrounded by different types of piles. And, they're organized and I know basically where different things are and why the piles are there, but they're still piles. I've fallen into that. So if you have, right. So when we talk about vision, if you're disorganized, you need to develop a vision for order, right? And, but organizing your vision also has to do with organizing your ideas, like writing down those little shreds, those random thoughts that you get, or having a way to capture them so that you can put it all together, right? That you can make your vision vivid, but you have to start with some way to manage all the ideas and the words that come to you. Strategy and vision, they're just words. Marketing, advertising, it's all words, right? And of course, there are images and stuff that are attached to it, but the words that are attached are what brings meaning usually, right? So you want to be able to organize your vision. And so when I talk about the flip productivity system, the core of it is a printed planner. And I know we have all this technology, and I do too. I use a lot of it. However, I live on technology. However, we still need to write, and that even writing does something in your brain. Even if you take notes and then you never read them ever again, just the practice, the act of writing the notes helps you to retain the information better. It somehow just kind of, it's like that writing is writing on your mind and your heart while you're doing it. So it helps to improve and increase your learning. So you want to first develop a habit of organizing your vision, and organizing your vision in all of its little parts and pieces, the cryptic little messages that you get around it, the ideas that you see, the connections that you make. You want to have a system or way of organizing that. And so I suggest you use a flip book so that you can jot down all these ideas and keep things in one central place. But you can develop anything. I had a boss once that just used a regular old not a 3-ring, the spiral notebooks that the kids have at school. He would just use that, and he literally started from the first page to the top and went all the way down and just went through the book. So every single day it was like this string of information, and somehow he was able to go back and find things. But no matter how you do it, you need to create a habit of organizing your vision so that you will have kind of the instructions that you need as you go along the way. The next piece is you need to learn how to organize your communication. Now we're talking about with respect to your vision, right? How are you organizing? So there was an email. I'm constantly getting communication, but I have a series of different email, I have this whole framework around my email and my messaging and branding all of those messages and all of that stuff. Yours may not be that complex, but you want to organize your communication. How are you going to contact and just relate back and forth to your clients, to your vendors, to you? I mean, we have so many ways now. You can text, you can email, you know what they are. But how I like to organize mine, I like to brand my communication. I like using email clients that give me the ability to add images and videos and just to make that much more collaborative. I also like organizing and using those kinds of tools because it gives me a way to monitor my communication with clients, and then it gives me a reference point. I use a Infusionsoft by Keep for my CRM and my marketing automation, and that system allows me to see the email thread, what messages are clients receiving. So I'm organizing the communication so I have a framework, a reference point, a library, a database of information that I can use that's organized in a way that I can find it and go back and refer. And I can also monitor myself and see, well, did I follow through? Did I answer all the questions? So you want to organize how you communicate, because just because you send out a message, whether you're speaking it, you're emailing, you're texting, have you ever noticed people don't always get them. Sometimes you think you did it. You're like, why didn't you respond? You didn't answer me. And then you find out they never got it to begin with. And that's possible because it happens to you. People will send you messages. They send me messages and I never got it. And one day the cell towers are working perfectly, and the next moment you never know. So you have to organize your communication in a way that gives you a way to follow up, to follow through, to monitor, to verify, all of those things, because you want to make sure the message that you sent was actually received. And that also goes for not just the physical act of sending a message like an email or a text, but it also goes to just communicating with people. How do you, probably the biggest issue in our relationships is our inability to communicate effectively. So I think we have to learn ways to organize how we respond. How do you manage your own emotions while you're responding in a tense, situation where communication isn't the most positive? If you have a customer problem where a customer is not happy, you can do your best and people just don't like it. Or they don't recognize it as your best, or they don't understand your intention behind a specific action or policy that you set up or created. And they just want what they want, and they're just mad. Sometimes you can't fix the relationships, but at the same time, you can have a protocol. You can organize how you want to try to respond in a situation like that. If you have a negative review online, marketers like me, we always teach you want to make sure you respond to every message. Because even if there's some terrible thing that happened, maybe you were really wrong, right? Maybe your customer service was way off, and that particular customer went online and had this terrible, scathing review and called you out and sent it out everywhere for everybody to see. I think that's the time where you log in and you respond and you say, hey, I'm really sorry. And, contact us at such and such, or we'll have so-and-so reach out to you to see if we can resolve this for you. Publicly, no one likes to be just called out and talked about and have horrible things said about them. It's just not fun in no situation. But when you are a visionary, when you are a leader, when you are stepping out and doing something bigger and greater than yourself, and the more exposure you get and the more people you are influencing, you really don't have any way, especially in our social media age, to avoid just having those situations. So you have to learn how to just so big girl panties, big boy briefs, right? So that you just step up to the plate and just own it and just say, okay, if no one, like if somebody bumps into you, I've used this example before, somebody bumps into you accidentally coming out of the post office. If they say nothing to you and it was a big, hard, obvious bump where they could not have missed that they bumped you, but they say nothing, that is when you're lit on fire, right? Like you want to hurt somebody. But if they hit you and they go, "Oh, I'm so sorry," you're like, "Okay, no problem." And it really most of the time is not a problem because they acknowledge that they wronged you, right? So when someone goes off, even if they're wrong for how they say it, and you respond in a positive way, if you respond as an adult and a professional, um, oftentimes you can resolve that conflict. Sometimes you can't, right? Sometimes they don't want to hear it. I've had that happen to me several times, and I ache over the fact that I disappointed somebody or that they're angry or whatever. But you know what? I've done everything I possibly can. And at a point, I just have to move on. So I think that's part two of organizing your communication, figuring out how are you going to handle different situations. And you only learn. I mean, you can plan ahead for how you think you might respond. And ultimately, you're only going to learn when you actually go through it. But organizing your communication in all of its forms, organizing your processes. So I'm the process queen. I think about process all the time. I love to write charts. I like to write flow charts. I love to design workflows. And the bottom line is you have to organize not just your environment and things and, your business administration operations. You have to design your process for everything. So again, we're talking about producing. So what is going to be your process for how you produce what it is you are trying to create? And you have to design the process. You got to set it up. You got to test it. Then you have to adjust. You have to analyze it. Like it's a cycle. It's not an end. It's not this one thing you do one time. Well, I created that. Now I'm off to do something else. Nope. Anything growing. We had a garden. Ron he started out with a tiny space right by our steps years ago. And then within this pandemic, he did another one, and it was like probably 3 or 4 times the size. And he had a plan. He laid out what he wanted to plant on all these different rows. And he decided one of the things he was going to plant was squash. Turns out he didn't know it until it happened, but it turns out that squash likes to take over. It likes to colonize the entire garden, right? So it went everywhere. So he created order. He had a plan and a process for how he was going to grow this garden, take care of it and all that. And he had to make some adjustments when he figured out how these squash behaved, right? So you're going to have to make this. We are living, breathing organisms, right? And we are serving other living, breathing organisms. So and our environments are constantly changing. I heard somebody say once, if you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. Because if you're standing still, everything else around you is moving. So you're just going further and further back while the world and everything around you keeps going. So you can't expect to set something up. It can work for a while, possibly, but you can't expect that it just you do it one time and it works forever, right? You have to constantly be looking and adjusting and organizing how you get things done and optimizing and making it better and better and better and making adjustments. And it's just a way of life. It's a habit that you have to create. All right. And then the other thing is under organizing, the last point is you have to organize your thoughts. Organize your thoughts. Our thinking. So I said that at the beginning, in the intro, I always say that Vivid Talk Live is a fresh way of thinking and doing for all you were designed to build. And the mission statement for the productivity system is about helping you with your thoughts and your actions, and so that you organize your thoughts in a way that helps you to proactively to take action. The whole flip productivity system is about action, because you can think about stuff. The difference between productivity, you can daydream, right? The difference between a dream and a vision. You can dream about doing something, but that doesn't mean that you're doing anything towards making that happen. You're just got this big hope in the sky that, oh, one day, ooh, what would it be like? Like, that's dreaming. And everything starts with that, but you can't just stop there, right? You get a vision. The vision is implying, now I'm working toward developing a plan to actually get there. How am I going to make that happen? And in order for you to make it happen, you've got to take action towards something. The first step, the basic thing that's in your power, that you're capable of doing, you got to move towards it. So, but it all comes from your thoughts. And there's a Bible verse also that talks about capturing your thoughts and your imagination, like pulling down strongholds. Your thoughts can become strongholds. Your thoughts, the lies that you tell yourself, the lies that you listen to from other people, can become these stumbling blocks that keep you from moving forward. So you have to learn how to organize your thoughts. It's like you're constantly doing maintenance. You're constantly cleaning up. We got the new entertainment center, and we had to dismantle the entire, setup that we already had. And it was covered in dust and all these things because it had sat so long, but we didn't see it because it was backed up to the wall, right? And so once we see that, we got to clean it out. And your thoughts are like that. We're constantly gathering so much information. We're seeing so much. We're hearing so much. We've got all these random ideas. We listen to people. We look at ourselves in the mirror and we think about, oh, girl, you're getting fat. And we all of these ideas, they kind of develop their own cobwebs if we are not constantly mastering the habit of organizing our thoughts, capturing them, those negative thoughts, capturing them, casting them out, replacing them with good thoughts, positive ideas, a clearer vision. Those are the things, like all those negative thoughts, those are the things that cloud your vision and keep it from becoming vivid. So you have to learn how to organize your thoughts, organizing your vision, mastering the habit. We're talking about mastering the habit of organizing your vision, your communication, your process, and your thoughts. Okay. And then the next one is tracking. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop there for tonight. I feel like I've already covered enough. So what we'll do is we'll pick up next week with tracking. We might get into both the tracking and acting if I'm good. So for next week, and then maybe the week after, we'll talk about waiting and scheduling. But you were born to produce. And that's the thing I want you to remember more than anything. So I'm going to hammer that point in for the last 3 weeks. This is the 4th week. We got probably another 2 weeks, at least 6 weeks. I want you to come through this understanding that you were born for this, that you didn't just wake up one morning and you accidentally fell into it. This is who you are. There is so much available to There's so much available to you. There's so much that you were designed to accomplish. You're a change maker. You're necessary, and who you are, what you've been given, what you care about, and how you do it uniquely is needed. And so I'm here to help you get it done, help you get that vision for every area of life, and I want to help you make it vivid. So remember to follow at Gwen Fuchsias, because I'm dropping knowledge. But follow at Gwen Fuchsias. Didn't you like that? On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Periscope, at Gwen Fuchsias, and Gwen Witherspoon Coach on YouTube. And you can catch everything, all those links to my social accounts, everything about me, on gwenwitherspoon.com. Contact me there, shop my store. You can check out my other brands. We've had a problem with my, you know what? There we go. That's the problem. Watch this. How about that? Last week I couldn't figure out why you couldn't see them, but it's somehow those pages got enlarged. So there we go. So I want to help you get a vision for every area of life. You can watch the replays. You can watch live on gwenwitherspoon.com. You can shop my store. You can check out my brands, and you can visit our replays page to see everything. There we go. I feel better. So I never would have figured that out. So thank you. Very good. Anyway, join me next week, please, for Vivid Talk Live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Invite your friends, tell your folks. I post everywhere. I post all the replays on Instagram, on Twitter, on all the social networks. But you can come right here or you can join us. I know a lot of you join me on Facebook every week. So just help me spread the word. I have been so focused on developing the content and getting this done. This has actually become a habit, and it has become easy, and it has become a pleasure. And so I love doing the show. And so now I got to turn my attention to actually promoting and letting people know we're here. And it's been really fun to just randomly go through social media and go, oh, and have all these new people. I had somebody I saw, they had reposted a meme that I created for the show. So I was like, okay, it helps you. It just gives you a little bit that lift to say, okay, people are getting it. People are watching. People are listening. People being blessed. They've been helped. And so I want you to help me get the word out. Share the video, any of the videos with somebody that you think it will make a difference for. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.